Hey everybody, I've got some stuff that I've been worried with it, how well would it do. Should I make the video, should I not make the video? But I decided to do it anyway. I mean, I hope that it doesn't hurt anyone's feelings because that's not my intentions with it. It's just more of an enlightenment on, I guess the word, the good old boy syndrome or something. But basically it's about knives. In the last 2.5, 3 years, YouTube has really gone, I guess, viral about bushcraft. It's probably been a little bit longer than that, but I've noticed it for the last 3 years that it's just really exploded. Good reasoning for it. I mean, it's a skill that everyone should possess. Whether you live in an apartment complex in the middle of New York City or whether you live out in the middle of where I do, out in the middle of nowhere in Summerville, Georgia. These things you need to know. I mean, there's all kinds of interesting fun, and it's also life-saving, you know. And if you ever just have to go back to the basics, that's basically what bushcrafting really is, in my term, or what I feel that it is. But what I'm going to hit on today is the knife thing, and I want to be careful with some of the words and the terminology that I may use that I'm very accustomed to using because I have fallen into that as well, and I'm trying not to really hit those quotes so that way it doesn't feel like I've targeted anyone, because that's not my intention to do this by no means, because you know, most of the guys that are really out there doing it, this is their life and this is their passion. This is what they do 24/7, and this is not what I do 24/7. I have a normal job that I go out. I've seen so many things, and it's just blown me away that how people have kind of put a dollar symbol on quality. Or it's the only thing that one can have. So to get to the point that I'm going to make, I'm just going to pan the camera down just a little bit. I hope it don't go squeaky cracky, but sometimes it does. If it does, I apologize, because I'm not editing this. I'm not an editor. Should be, but I'm not. But here's basically some of the knives, and there it went with that sound, so sorry about that. Some of the knives that I've collected over the years. The one that really just irks me the most, it's going to be these things here. We've seen these videos. We've seen how they've been tested, broken, busted, cracked, beat up, dropped around, no good, piece of junk. I don't know what all I've heard. Don't be an idiot. Don't purchase it. Don't buy it. I'm fond of this first one. The very first one that I have here, I seen it at Walmart. I said I want it, and my wife bought it. So maybe that's one reason I'm doing the video, is because she did purchase it for me, and she got it for me for may have been my birthday or Father's Day one year, but no, it would have been my birthday, because on Father's Day, I'll get to that story in a minute, she'd bought something else after I fell into that trap. These knives here, we've seen them, we know what they are. They're the Barry Gerber Ultimate Bloss, something whatever else. Here's my take on this. This knife will break, probably. This knife has not broken in 2 years. I would dare say that this knife here has probably seen more action than 85% of the knives that people have on a daily basis that go into the woods and practice their bushcrafting. This knife is not bulletproof. It's not designed to be bulletproof. It's an affordable knife that, if that's all you have, that is the best knife that there is. And that's just bottom line. If this is all you have when you're in the woods, then you treat this thing just like it would be if it was your own life. Yeah, and I see people that baton. I baton. Here's the thing. If you're batoning a stump, bottom line is you didn't go prepared. if you got stuck into a situation and you think you have to baton a stump, you're not prepared. Because if you're in the woods and you can't find wood that will burn, and you got to bust a 4-inch log in half, I would just sit down and cover up with leaves. That's just me. The knife in itself, some of the design flaws in it, I'm not big on these things, no, but it was there. Will it baton? Yes, it has. Will the tips break off of it? I have seen where several of them have broken the tips off. I've seen where several of them, the pommel part down here has broken and fallen off of it. If I'm throwing this, shame on me. I should break it. That's just it. I mean, if I'm throwing my wallet around just for fun to see if it's going to break the leather, I should lose it. I should lose money out of it. That's just the bottom line. But this one here, like I said, it has some significance to it as far as just because my wife bought it. But as far as what it has that it comes with, for 50 bucks, you can do a lot worse. But now, I'm just going to kind of leave that alone because I do know that's a touchy subject with a lot of folks. Probably going to get more views of beat up views on this than anything. And that's okay too, because we all have our opinions, and we're entitled to that. You know, it came with its own little fire striker. If I'm stuck out in the truck and it breaks down and I've been out riding through the woods like many people do, I'm not going to be ashamed to whip this thing right here out and make me a fire. Am I going to be able to build me a fortress with this thing here? If I take my time and do it right. Which to me, when I'm in the woods, if I'm in a hurry, then I'm really probably setting myself up for failure to begin with, because that's what causes almost everything to go wrong, is people get in a hurry to do everything that they try to do because they panic. Would this knife here outperform $300 knives? That's what I'm going to get to. I won't mention a name, and I did get my money back. The company was super about it. They understood that things can happen. They also know that metal is metal and it can break. I bought a knife. I didn't. My wife bought it for my Father's Day, and it broke. And where it broke at was right through here, where it should not have broken, but it did. Was I batoning with it? Yes, I was. Was I batoning a 4-inch log? No, I was not. Apparently, the knife just in itself, it's metal. They get heat done. Everybody knows that when man makes material, it will break. It will fail at some point in time. It's just in our nature to be the best that we can, but we can't be 100% perfect. But I'm not going to keep going on that because I had some more stuff that I wanted to get into. The company, like I said, I won't mention the name. It's a very good company. I understand that it happened. It was probably, as he said, that was one of the first ones that had happened like that. And fortunately, it was on video when I was filming it, because I was actually doing something other that I was wanting to set up and do it. But here's the thing. If I'm going in the woods, I'm going to take either that one, or most likely, I kind of got this here as a gift. I won't mention how I got it. It's the Pathfinder trade knife, I believe is what it was called. It was given to me as a gift. I would recommend this knife here for the money to anyone. Not trying to endorse their products, because I think it was made by Habulish Bush Tools is who it was. Not trying to say go out and get yourself this right here. It's going to be the best $100 you ever spent. It's well worth the $100 that they cost. I mean, I think they may be a little more than that. This is the size knife, or the size knife that I find for me that I want to be out in the woods with. That it's not too large, it's not too small. It has some good chopping to it. It's got, you know, I can skin with it. It stays sharp. It's easily sharpenable. Haven't figured this sucker here out, how you gotta hold it to do it. I just use my own spindle and pressure rock to my own bow drills when I'm doing it. I tried it. You can see kind of where I tried. There's probably a trick to it. I kind of wished that maybe just the handle had been a little thicker in here. Other than that, she does everything that it's intended to do. I like it because it's, you know, the shorter blade on it. It's thick. I don't know what thickness it was. I never really measured it. It's got it online. But anyway, this is what I take in the woods with me 95% of the time that I'm going to be out. Do I want another knife that's $300? No. And I'll get to the point of why I'm not going to take and spend $300 for a knife. Here's my example of why I'm not. This is a set of pliers that is on my Leatherman, and again, it's just the PST2. It's not the $600 Leathermans. It's just I think these things are like maybe 40-50 bucks now, if they're even that. I've had this one here probably going on 7-8 years maybe. I use it for what it's intended for, and that's the point. If I have to take a nut off of something other, I can do it with this. There's no doubt that I can eventually just keep grinding, working, pulling, tugging, and I will get that nut off. That is just the bottom line. It'll come off. But that's what these things are designed for. That's what they're designed for. They're designed to take nuts off or tighten nuts up. That is not what the sole purpose of this is for. Can you use it? Yes, you can. Will this chop through a 4-inch, 6-inch, 10-inch log? I want to spend enough time, it will. But I'm going to take a chance on breaking it just as well as I'm going to take a chance on stripping the nut or the bolt loose. So that's what I'm trying to get at is if you're going to beat your knife to death to prove a point that it's a piece of crap or it's the most ultimate survival knife gear that you can get, knock yourself out. But I'm going to work smart, not hard. I'm going to take an axe with me. I'm going to take a folding saw with me. I mean, if I'm in the woods and I lost all the other gear, would that other knife be great? Yeah, it will be. But if I'm out there in the woods, and that's the hatchet that I use. It's an old hatchet, don't know the name on it because it didn't have one on it. The metal on it is very good. I mean, it just does well. I'm going to make a better sheath for it now that I've learned how to do leather craft a little better. But the point that I guess with all my rambling is if you're looking for, and I have to be careful because I'm trying to use that word and I'm not meaning it for it to sound, but if you're looking for that one just carry all survival knife, I don't know that there's one out there that won't break. I mean, that's not going to have some kind of flaw to it or something. Here's one that I made out of a file. I've beaten, banged, beat around, messed around with it. Once I seen that it wasn't going to break, because you know you have to be careful when you make a knife from a file because it is more prone to snap right in two. It's done fine. If I was stuck in the woods for lost and this is all I had, would I survive? Shoot, chow. I mean, I'll survive with a rock. I mean, I'll get what I've got to get done. I'm not going to base my life on a knife and say that I have to go and take and spend the most money I can to get that one knife that is going to last me and guarantee my survival, because that's a fool speaking. It's not going to happen. That knife is not going to be your lifeline. It may be a key ingredient to your lifeline and being able to survive and sustain yourself, but that's not what it's going to do. I mean, it's not intended to do everything that is under the sun. With all of it out there is. One of my favorite knives. I've done so much with this knife here. It's unbelievable. And you can see it's 3.5, maybe it may be 4 years old. I don't know, it may be somewhere. Just an old Mora knife. I don't even know what model they call it. I got this thing for 12 bucks off Amazon. Still has a beautiful edge to it. It will baton. I mean, well, am I gonna crack through a big log? No. But this is. I've got a piece right here. This Georgia Fatwood. I cut them every time I get out in the woods. I see one, it's going home with me. I'm going to keep it. I'm always going to have it. I'm going to always know where to find them. This is about all you need to break down. That is it, in my opinion. I'll clarify that under my circumstance. This is all you need to break down to start a fire. You do not have to sit down here and baton this to get a fire going. I mean, you can sit there with your knife and just make little curls. And once you've, of course you can see it, that's breaking those down into slithers. That and whatever else you had for your combustion is going to get you a fire. If you think you have to go get you a fat log to beat that thing in half, you really exerted a whole lot of energy that was useless and wasteful, in my opinion. But that's the key ingredient. This will do what this is made to do, or this will do what this is intended to get you. You don't need to sit down there and bust that thing up and crack it. Will this knife here break that down even smaller? Yes, it will. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But once this thing right here gets enough heat, which is very minimal, a match will light this. I would not want to just leave it whole and have one match and make that decision. But again, that goes back to how much time did you put into learning how to create a fire? How much time did you spend in the weathers that are out there, the seasons, to get that fire going? Because you can pop a fire out in the middle of January or July, and you can just about sit there and rub your fingers together and get a fire going because everything is so dry and brittle. You can start doing this here in November and December, or in our wet, rainy season where it's had 3 days of dry weather, but you think just because the outside is dry, it's going to work. It's not. The atmosphere, the humidity, everything plays an important part in getting that fire started. So you need to know what kind of weather climate that you're in. What did you have to do the last time? That is more important than having a $5,000 knife. That was just a thrown out number because I don't want to have anybody think that I'm bashing these good knives that are out there, because they are some good knives out there. Just not for me. I mean, I'm just not going to spend it. That sheath there, it's wrapped with all kinds of different kinds of cordage. It's wrapped with all kinds of different tape inside of it. It goes right around my neck. Left the plastic sheath the way it is. No big deal. Here's another. Everybody hates Gerber. Let me explain something about this knife. This knife here was purchased in 2001. I got it from a little place over in LJ. It's Sportsman's Barn or something. I can't remember what it was. I was going on a hunting trip. I wanted a fairly good knife. And at that time in 2001, you didn't have the knives that you have out there now, because most of those companies that are out there making these high quality knives only got started because they're my age, and they went and done trial and error and seen that a lot of knives that were being made were junk and just would not work. This one here is a Gerber USA, made in Portland, Oregon. This thing right here is super sharp. Do you know why it is super sharp? The only thing that this thing has ever cut is skin. That's it. Taking hide off of deer. That is it. That's what this was intended for. That's what this knife is made for. This knife is not a bushcraft knife. if I was stuck in the woods and this is all that I had, my first key is going to be, I am not going to try to baton with this knife. If I had to use it for a cutting for fire or whatever, or rope or something, it will do that. I just need to know the key ingredients to get the fire going and what type of wood that I need. I don't need to go out here and just start beating and banging and panicking. I need to know what the knife was intended for and what it can do, as opposed to just saying it's going to do it all. Because it's not. It's going to break. You're going to screw up one day and be chopping through one of them 4-inch logs or 5-inch logs, and guess what? It's going to have been there for a while and some idiot drove 4 or 5 nails through the middle of it, and now you got a big old chunk out of the middle of it because it's not a very thick enough blade. But so much for all that for the ranting. This Leatherman goes with me every time I go out. Here lately, this is what's been going out with me every time that I go out. Again, I still carry this. You know, I've heard of an old saying from someone, I can't never get it right, but, you know, 1 is none and 2 is 1, I think is how he says it. And I believe that, you know. If I can carry it, I'm not an ultralight backpacker. I'm gonna go out in the woods for a hike. It's a haversack. That's what I carry. I carry everything that I need on me or in that pack that is going to be able to sustain me for at least 3 days with my knowledge. That's the key. My knowledge is the most important factor that I can take with me when I go into those woods. You know, a knife is not going to, an idiot's not going to be able to live with a knife. Occasionally, I'll take this little folder right here. It's actually not so little. It's a fairly large knife. It's made by Freder Herden Arbonson Salagen, Germany. I'm no good at it, at what it is. It's a carbon steel blade. It's just a folder. I got it for $3, I think, at a flea market. It's really overkill for anything that you would need, but it cuts the crap out of some steak. This thing is awesome for steak. Hey, maybe that's what this will be. It'll be my new folding steak knife. And if that's what I end up doing with it, that's what I'll try to do. My pocket knife of choice is this case. It's called a Sodbuster Jr. Now, I've got videos. When I'm carving, that's what this is for. When I'm cutting rope, that is what this is for. If I'm needing to cut my steak, and this is what I brought, this is what I use to cut my steak. If I'm cutting my foods, I use this. If I'm eating an apple, I use this. This is made for small tasks. They make a larger one. It's made for a little bit bigger task, but it's not made for batoning. Again, my son got me this one here with some help from his mother. This is a new one. It's an old timer. It's got a wood handle, or not a wood handle. It's some kind of wood. I'm not sure what kind of handle it was. And it's just an old 770 stainless steel blade. I want to peel some potatoes. Great. Peel some potatoes. If I want to cut some rope, great. It's going to cut some ropes. If I want to whittle on a piece of wood just to kill the time so that I'm not losing my mind whenever I'm lost, or if I'm needing that edge in life, not as in a knife, but that's what this is made for. You know, it's just it's a pocket knife. It's not made to go out and do all the other things that the bigger knives are made for. One of my favorite little knives of all time is an old timer. I don't know where I got it, how I got it, how I obtained it. It's just that little tiny, I don't know, it's an old timer. It's made in the USA by Schrade, which I think is who makes them. Like I said, I'm not a big knife know-it-all, and I guess that's why I'm just beating myself up over all of this. Is I don't see the hoopla about the big knives making you a top survival person. And I don't think that the people that do these for a living, or they expect in their mind that everyone knows that that's not gonna make you survive, or you're not gonna come out of it just because you've got this knife. But so many of these young folks that I'm running across, that I'm talking to in personal, talking to through the Boy Scouts, they're blown away with, I've got to get this, and I'm not naming names because I don't want to kind of fall into that with them, but they're going into, oh, I've got to get this one here because I seen, so, oh man, that knife is just so great, and if you don't have this right here, you're not going to make it. And I'm like, you lost it. What are you going to do? I'm not going to lose it. You lost it. What are you going to do? I guess this whole thing is if we're going to beat yourselves up over, I have to have the best knife that there is out there, I have to have the best equipment that there is out there, get that equipment when you know how to live without that equipment. That's the whole key to this message that I'm trying to really get out there without trying to beat out around the bush with all this is if you can't go out into the wilderness, the woods, to the park, wherever it is, and lathe that knife with someone else and be able to sustain your life, that knife is not going to be the key ingredient to making a life or death situation. I guarantee. It's just not. You have to put that knowledge and that time, and the old saying, dirt time, that's what you need. And here's another scenario for a lot of folks that live in the suburban areas or the cities and stuff, and they can't get out and get to the woods. The woods is a mental, to me, it's just a mental aspect of it. It's going to be, I'm in the woods, I feel nature. I'm more into it and I'm feeling it. I may not always get lost in the woods. I may not always have a survival situation where I'm in the woods. I guess without rambling on to it, go to your backyard. Go somewhere. There's nothing that you can't do in your backyard that will not prepare you or help prepare you. You don't have to have the forest. You don't have to have the wilderness. You don't have to go grab up a tent and go slap it in the middle of the woods and say, okay, I'm going to survive for 3 days. You want to learn these things, get out in the yard, get out in your building, get out somewhere and do it. Just go and do it. Just repeatedly learn it. Watch the videos that are out there. Understand what is bull, what is not bull. Understand that just because so-and-so can wick a fire up in 13 seconds and he's ready to go and it's all good, it's on video. He may have been working on that thing for 3 hours and edited it. That's why I don't do a lot of editing. I shoot the video and that's what you get. Which you can probably tell by now, we're at about 28 minutes or so on this here. But the point of it is don't sit and kill yourself trying to go out and this is me telling you. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to, because we're all free here and we can do what we want. Spend your time learning and spend your money on things that are necessities, necessary things. And most of that is our settlers came across, and we go on back into middle of times. You look at your Indians, I can guarantee you they didn't go out here and have the best knife in the world. They made the best that they could make at the time, and they learned how to use something else if it wasn't going to work for that purpose. So I guess that's really what I'm looking at is get out there and do that. Spend that time doing that. Get the dirt time in. Learn these skills if that's what you're out there wanting to do. And, I'm not going to say go buy the Bear Grylls Gerber knife, because that's just not what I'm trying to tell you. But, if I want to break it, I could break that knife right now. You know, matter of fact, if I wanted to break the vise that I'm looking at right now, I can break the vise. But if I use it the way it's intended to be used, that vise is going to be here for a long time, and that knife is going to be here for a long time. Just because a tip is broken off of a knife doesn't mean that you're going to die. Not unless you broke it off into a bear, and then you might die. But either way, I mean, I hope I didn't kill anybody's feelings with any of this, and I hope I haven't offended anyone, because that's not my intentions. It was more along the lines of just, if you're worried about what knife you need to go out and get, you probably need to worry more about how to survive without that knife before that, because when you learn that, I guess in a nutshell, when you know how to do everything that you have to do, or feel that you can sustain your own life whenever a situation comes up, you'll get the right knife. I mean, until then, don't go buy that knife. And that's just me telling you, don't waste your mom's money, don't waste your money, don't waste the family money on trying to just go out and say, I've got this $300 knife or this $500 knife, it's going to make the difference, I'm going to be it. I think with a knife, yeah, it'll pump you up, and I think it'll make you feel better about the situation, you know, and it might set in a mindset, but you know, if you don't know what to do after you've got it, you're going to be in big trouble. But I've wasted enough of your time. I hope no one kills me over this. And I do appreciate everyone that does watch the videos. I have a lot of stuff that I want to get into, and I know a lot of people may think it's just leather craft, and that's just a hobby that I've picked up in the winter time. You know, I appreciate all the video views that I get. I appreciate when someone leaves a comment, good or bad. You know, I've met a couple of good friends, you know, they're awesome. I mean, when we chat back and forth now on Facebook and stuff, they live quite a ways away from here, but I learned stuff from them, and you know, they point things out that I've done wrong, or they may point out things that I could improve on, and I listen to it, because that's what this is all about. You know, it's a learning. There's not one video that's put up out there that wasn't a learning video, or into this stuff here that's intended to be, I'm perfect and I don't need any more education on it, because I think when you fall into the point if you don't need any more education, you really just giving up. And that's just my thought on it. But I appreciate all the views, and I'm cutting this thing out of here because I'll still be here an hour from now, and since I don't edit, nobody will watch it. So I appreciate it, and thank you very much.